So I understand, but you have to cooperate also. You have to be. I'll be starting from very scratch. Very scratch in the sense ki what does what history mean? What is history? What is history? So, the guy who has space. Yes.
We are reading about the past, what has happened, and what was the relevance of that, what was the impact of that incident on the world.
What did you say? Incident?
The incident that happened in the past saved the world.
No, you are going in the right direction. Let's put it in the perspective. Ma'am, the girl in the right extreme. What do you think? It's that, guys, if you do not make mistakes here, you will be making mistakes on in the examinations. Please prepare. Yeah. If you do not know, you can paraphrase it. I can come later. Learning from the past events. That's what she said. I think the incidents we talked about, the impact. We had a lady called Sarla Devi Chaudhary of Odisha. We had Bakshi Jalil Babu, very Jalil, sorry.
Hello, hello.
Taking the culture of Odisha. But going back to 1850s, till the modern world, 20s, 30s, we also know history is a constant dialogue between the past and the present. I just gave you the example. ठीक है, इसको लिख सकते हैं? Can we write this? History is a constant dialogue, is a continuous dialogue, you can also write. Since we are talking about a constant continuous dialogue, in this regard, the world history, it is not just लिख लिया ये? Have you written this? Okay. Shall I rub it or okay? Sure. You see, there are series of events I'll be talking about from guys. Renaissance means reformation. So Reformation will start from the Reformation. I'll give you enough time to write. Don't worry about this. If you want to draw this, you can draw. Just इसका नाम किसने सुना है? लियोनार्डो डा विंची या लियोनार्डो डिकैप्रियो नहीं है? लियोनार्डो डा विंची. लियोनार्डो डा विंची ने एक बहुत फेमस वो बनाई है मैम, मोनालिसा. और मोनालिसा एंड लास्ट सपर. ठीक है. So my story, if I may use the term, my story starts from the Renaissance. The time period is 15th, 16th century AD till the Cold War, which starts in after the end of the World War, 1945. Okay, don't worry about the date, guys. What I'll be doing is I'll be making it less boring, less what do you call it, jargonized, and less factual for you. There are two things you do not realize. You realize there are certain things we do not forget. First love types, school, college ka crush, we do not forget. The person who disrespected you, you do not forget. It's a series of events. You do not forget. Why? Because it's connected to you. Anything somebody is disrespecting is connected, that this guy, disrespected me. So the events are important. Facts, I will fill in the facts. You understand? The events are important. I'll fill in the facts. These are the events. I have just given a rough date over here. We'll be starting with the Renaissance period, which is the period of Reformation in Europe. But the world history did not just started in Europe or in the world history. We also had a period called ancient, medieval, modern. But since we are confining ourselves to the preparation of UPSC, so we'll be talking about certain things. So the modern world world history starts from the Renaissance. It's like Renaissance in the India, like which happened in 1820s, जब राजा राम मोहन रॉय ने किसके बारे में बात की? सती. What was सती? What was सती? I hope the view is not being blocked ना. ब्लॉक हो रहा है? मैं थोड़ा साइड कर लूं. आप इधर आ सकते हो? Can you please? I hope you do not have a cold war with her. That brings me to what is Cold War. Cold War is a war when there is no open fighting. World War are fightings. we had Germany, we had other nations. But when did it start? Why did it start? And how did it start? It's very important. It's a constant dialogue between the past and the present. आज जो आप world polity देखते हो, you have this Israel-Palestine problem has its historical connotations in the Second World War. आज जो आप हिंदुस्तान में कॉटन, मसलिन, जूट जो हिंदुस्तान से जा रहा है, उससे कौन किसकी रानी your peacock throne is where? In England. And peacock throne was there in where? Kakatiyas. Okay, just to give you the information. Now, I hope you understand what is being taught. I have not started this. The point I'm trying to make is I'll be starting with the Renaissance period and move till this. And we have series of events like rise of Hitler, what do you call it? Unification of these nations, because these nations, here I'm talking about the modern Europe. That brings me to what is the Renaissance. I gave you the example of the Renaissance. This is the rough picture of what we'll be talking about. These are our actors, if I may use the term. So we'll be talking about this area and how the Reformation or the Renaissance started off and it led to Industrial Revolution. This is the rough map of Europe. This is United Kingdom, France, Austria-Hungary, Italy, Switzerland, Germany, Norway, Sweden, Spain. In 1498, a person from Portugal or Spain came to India. His name was Vasco da Gama. Kiska mama? Vasco da Gama. Why did he come to India? Huh? Very good. This is a city called Flanders in Italy. The point is to show that how did it start. So our story starts from the Renaissance, which is the Reformation in the society. People in medieval Europe were more into church, were more into irrationality, were more into feudalism, if I may use the term, where the economy was not formalized. They were not city-states. There was no, who does the paintings? That a rickshaw wala does the painting. Why? Because he has his, bhai roti kamayega na wo. A person who is well-read can prepare for UPSC and UPSC. Very few people can come here, afford the fee, time and all, because he has to take care of the family also. You understand? You guys are lucky enough that you are getting, your uncle, your father, your grandfather must have worked very hard. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, when I talk about the 16th century Europe, the 16th century Europe started the Reformation process. The Reformation process is impacting the society, the culture. We talk about this in culture, right? And the economy. Economy where earlier they were small villages, but now city-states were coming up. Like, look at this state. Bhai, you have Bhubaneswar, you have Rourkela. What does that mean? It is an industrialized area. And what does industrialized area entail? Intellectual people, economy, roads, infrastructure. You understand? What is that? Modernism, industrialization. Then what is the link between Renaissance and industrialization? भैया पढ़ोगे तब तो आप आगे बढ़ोगे. भाई एक बंदा जिसने बीटेक कर रखी है वो किसी उड़ीसा के स्मॉल डिस्ट्रिक्ट से आएगा भुवनेश्वर और इंफोसिस में काम करेगा जो भुवनेश्वर में है आई गेस. So he's earning, he's giving this to his family and sustaining and growing. That's the whole point. If I tell you that what is Vedasa in the context of India, you will say कि राजा राम मोहन रॉय इतना कुछ करके गए, उसके बाद हिंदुस्तान जहां आज है, भुवनेश्वर में आईटी पार्क्स हैं, क्यों है भाई? Because of the Renaissance and industrialization. You understand? Renaissance, reformation of education in culture where women can also be equal to men. The portrayal of a women, why men were not painted? समझ रहे हो ना? इसको ना फॉर्मली लिख लेते हैं, उसके बाद देन आई मेक यू अंडरस्टैंड. देखो, देयर इज अ सिंपल लिंक बिटवीन द मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड. वी इजीली स्टार्टेड विद इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन. वी स्टार्टेड इन 1760s in Europe, because these people, Vasco da Gama came to India, Columbus went to Europe. So these people started thinking about what was happening in the world. At the same time, steam engine was invented, and before that, before steam engine, women were crafting within their household. पे जो है बुनाई करती थी, उनको भेजा जाता था. इन्होंने देखा कि भाई इतनी बड़ी मार्केट है इंडिया में जहां से कॉटन ला सकते हैं, इतनी बड़ी मार्केट है अफ्रीका में जहां से स्लेव्स ला सकते हैं, इतनी मार्केट है कहां पर? अमेरिका में जहां से शुगर कॉटन ला सकते हैं. तो उनका दिमाग खुल गया. बैंक्स आने लग गए. यहां पर मैंने एक बिल्डिंग देखी थी, बहुत बड़ी बैंक की बिल्डिंग है. बैंक्स नहीं है, क्रेडिट without Lakshmi Mata, it can happen. You go to a district for Samaj Seva. No, I'm not saying corruption, guys. Please, don't put words in my mouth. Saying corruption. ये चीज में ऐसा मत करना. But for livelihood, let's put it this way. ठीक है? So, do you understand what Renaissance meant and what is its link with Industrial Revolution? एक बार फिर से समझते हैं. Renaissance or Reformation meant where the city-state started coming up, banking started coming up, people started thinking. Okay, they were not just thinking about the church, they were thinking beyond it. People started expressing themselves, questioning. They started expressing themselves like this. They started building buildings like this, and banks were established. Economy was formalized. Earlier, the production which was happening households after the coming of steam engine, it was kind of formalized. With steam engine, you need coal, iron. रोड किससे बनेगी? भाई आपके फ्लाईओवर बने हैं यहाँ पर, कैसे बनते हैं वो? केला से स्टील आता है, शायद आपको अंगुल से भी स्टील आता होगा. एल्यूमिनियम आता है. क्यों जरूरत पड़ रही है हिंदुस्तान में एल्यूमिनियम की, लोहे की? व्हाई? आईटी के बच्चों की. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर आईटी पीपल? कंप्यूटर इंजीनियर्स कौन कौन है? कोई नहीं. You've seen ना? You understand what I'm trying to say? So let's start with the 15th century, which is the Renaissance. Will move into how these inventions, because when people start thinking, they start inventing. They start inventing, and steam engine is getting invented. If steam engine is getting invented, then there is more production which was happening in the households. भाई हिंदुस्तान से कॉटन तो लेके जा रहे हैं, प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, फिर हिंदुस्तान में बेच दे रहे हैं. अफ्रीका से स्लेव्स लेके जा रहे हैं और कहां बेच दे रहे हैं? अमेरिका में बेच रहे हैं. वो मैं समझाऊंगा आपको. एक बार आप रेनेसां लिख लीजिए. इसको रेनेसां पढ़ते हैं. इस साइड में लिख लीजिए रेफॉर्मेशन. or reformation is a transition from medievalism to modernity. From medievalism to modernity. Modernity is seen in technology, in economy, in culture, this change gradually changes the history of the modern world. Examples of Renaissance. In 1492, Christopher Columbus landed at Americas, comma, this opened a new horizon for Europeans who got access to resources there. These resources later helped European economy. These resources later helped European economy in their industrial growth. And this industrial growth is known as Industrial Revolution. They were growth of joint stock companies trading houses merchants painters philosophers who initiated this revolution in a broader sense. Please change the paragraph. With the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci, with the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci, people started expressing themselves. People started expressing themselves. The painting of लास्ट सपर, लास्ट सपर एक पेंटिंग है लियोनार्डो डा विंची की. The painting of Last Supper of Leonardo da Vinci highlights the issues of the culture of Europe. Please change the paragraph. The development of cities. The development of cities like Florence and Flanders in Italy led to coming together of intellectuals, nobles, craftsmen, bankers, together also helped in the process. Helped in the process. People started questioning the authority. People started questioning the authority of church. Which was considered to be supreme. Supreme Court was. People became more rational. People became more rational. They started questioning, thinking, debating about rights, 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 and duties of citizens. Okay, so how much have we written? This is the background which I was talking about. Guys, I will take a moment here. And tell you about the revolution I was talking about. Why do we call this a revolution? We could have told this industrial development. We could have easily told, I could have easily told you that ये तो industrial development. Why did I say revolution? So, yes. Why do we call this an industrial revolution? in Bhubaneswar, you have a smart city. We call it a industrial development. ठीक है? Why do we not call it industrial revolution? ठीक ठीक है. एक big change. That's the word. Anybody wants to add in what she said, ma'am? आप add करना चाहते हो? Turning point.
If you are reducing social chaos happening before,
Hmm.
it changes into systematic.
Yes.
So we call that a revolution just because the machinery started coming up and the products that were being built by with hand, they started to be produced by machines.
Makes sense. So.
So rearrangement in the social structure.
Sorry?
Rearrangement in the social structure of the hierarchy and the powers.
ठीक है.
So it was revolution because it not only happened in Europe but also in the world.
Anything else?
It created the framework for the future that is today.
I give you the example of
French Revolution and
very good. ठीक है. ठीक है. चलो, I have enlightened people. Now I understood. You understand. ठीक है. मेरे को पता नहीं चलता ना कई बारी, since it's a new place. We call it the revolution. Thanks for this. That makes my job easier. Guys, you talked about the transition. हमने चेंज की बात की थी. ये तो मैंने आपको बैकग्राउंड बताया. ये तो ट्रेलर था. ये तो साहो का ट्रेलर था. तो पिक्चर कभी कभी खराब हो जाती है ना. चलो खैर. I don't know which movie you thought that very good movie and last में मैं शब्द यूज नहीं करना चाह रहा, बेकार मूवी थी. Like which movie you thought it is going to be? Adipurush. Eh? You know, I remember when I was in college, there was this movie called Dark Knight. 2007-8. Dark Knight. लड़कों ने तो देखी होगी, लड़कियों का पता है. You've seen Dark Knight? Stereotype कर दिया देखो मैंने. Guys, when Dark Knight came, I had a friend called, he's Bengali, he is like Abhinav Goswami. The knowledge of Ravindranath Thakur Sahab has come from friends. होता ही है दोस्तों को. So he said, no, this is a very good movie, चलना चाहिए. ये सब कहा यार बेकार है, ये सब ट्रेलर वेलर दिखाते हैं, बेवकूफ बनाते हैं. Then I saw the movie and I was like, you know, 3-4 दिन तक तुम मुझे वो बाइक के सपने आ रहे थे कि, you know, guys have this बाइक का पैशन. किसी कौन लेके आया था बाइक अभी? Somebody came with the bike. Yeah. You understand na how it is. And when you drive in Uttarakhand na, it's like more, you drive like तू है कि नहीं types. Oh, ये देखो. चलो. No, but you should visit today. You know, I'll try to visit the places around because you know, temples to temples. I came from temples to, you know, this place has temples. So you know, every step you take in Uttarakhand is a temple. So yeah, anyway, chalo, coming back to the revolution. Guys, revolution मैंने बताया कि feudalism से capitalism में transition हो गया. There was a whole transition from feudalism to capitalism. A lady or a guy said कि भाई earlier the production was home centric, which became industrialized. But you have steam engine, you have coal production, you have steel production, you have road construction. Earlier the roads were smaller. I am assuming that 20 years before, when LPG reforms were taken, Bhubaneswar did not have had a IT park. I will use it as a revolution, bhai. You understand? A person who is supposed to go to Gurgaon is staying here and doing his job. People are chilling and also doing work from home. So it's a kind of revolution. So, and I also talked about insecurities about revolution. भाई जो हाथ से बना रहा है कपड़े, उसके लिए तो अगर मशीन में कपड़े बन रहे तो उसकी तो रोजी रोटी मर जाएगी ना. You understand? On top of that, bankings are financed. You have bigger scale of production. You have colonies which are giving you raw material. Where are the colonies? India is a colony. And when did they go there? In 15th, 16th century, Columbus gaya tha, Vasco da Gama gaya tha. So after 200, 300 years, we have come to this, where all the colonies are giving them not only the market for the finished products, but the raw material. So raw material is coming and finished products are going. Do you think that this is possible with your primitive before AI? Bhai, AI se pehle things were easier, things were harder, but AI, you just type anything and he'll make a thing out of it. जब computers आए थे तो काफी clerks को problem हुआ था, and there was whole lot of chaos. भाई अगर spinning jemmy आएगा, मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा. And please guys, one thing I would like to make it very clear, please look at it from the perspective of 250 years. अपना अभी वाला दिमाग मत लगाना. Just think about it from 250 years ago. कि उस time पे. Now the lady, this is modern as per 1760s. So she is जो सूत काटते बोलते हैं ना उसको, सूत काटना. And this is a very big thing in Bengal in 17th, 18th century, when India used to be the exporter. So she is weaving, or she's making a cloth, and it takes her the whole day maybe to produce a thing. The production before the industrial revolution is happening like this: gadda khod do, fir bhar do types. So you have a ruralized economy which transformed to a industrial economy. We call it capitalism, where capital becomes important, where money is formalized, where you have big industries. So itself is a transition. The people who were working here are now going to the cities. Which cities? Of Italy, of Britain. Now, how many of you watch football? The Manchester, Leeds, Lancashire, all these cities have come up because of the industrial revolution. When you have industrial revolution, these people who are working as a farmers are going there, living in smaller rooms. So it's a transition. You understand? I'll show you another picture. These are the kind of factories I was talking about, the towns and all. So these are smaller ships, and these factories are there. Again, this is the kind of, please take a moment and दिख रहा है? नहीं? You have seen a rough map. What I'm talking about this part of Europe. And gradually what happens is industrialization happens here and then moves to other parts of the world. This part of the world is having colonies in India, East India Company. Which year? 1600s. So all the sugar, all the silk, all the cotton is being exported from here till here. These people are going here, bringing tobacco, cotton, sugar. Slaves are being exported here. They work here in plantations and they go there. The raw material goes there. All the raw material is here. And do you think that the lady who was spinning, is it possible to produce this much of the bulk material for this colony, for this colony, for this colony? Is it possible? So itself is a revolution. Banks coming, production units coming, roads coming. इतने लोगों की जरूरत पड़ेगी ना? You understand what I'm trying to say? So itself is a revolution. And in this race of colonization and all, we have the First World War. So I do not want to just jump, but just to give you a heads up. ठीक है, इसको लिख सकते हैं थोड़ा बहुत? Can we write something? So please write the Industrial Revolution. I'll keep on explaining these things to you through the course of my lecture. The Industrial Revolution, which began in Britain, in the late 18th and 19th century, marked, M-A-R-K-E-D, marked a monumental shift, in the economy, society, and global power dynamics. This transformation was driven by a range of factors that collectively contributed to Britain's emergence as a world's leading industrial power. Full stop. The period often dated, O-F-T-E-N, dated between 1780s to 1830s. This is the time period I am talking about. Between 1780s and 1830s involved profound changes in production, urbanization, and social structures. Which affects reaching far beyond Britain's boundaries. Please write a subheading after this. Economic characteristics of early industrial England. The first point, please write in bullets, is several key features defined early industrialized England which transformed its economy were application of science and technology, application of science and technology, new scientific knowledge, इसी के आगे new scientific knowledge were applied to industrial production, which increased the output manifold, MANYFOLD. Please change the paragraph. Specialization in production, growth of international trade, growth of this international trade spurred industries to SPURRED, spurred industries to specialize focusing on producing goods for broader markets. What are the markets I'm talking about? Please read it again. Markets, they are specializing for whom? Africa, India and Americas. Okay, example, इसके नीचे इसी में लिखो example, markets of Africa, India and Americas. Larger production units, इसको highlight कर देना please. Larger production units there was a shift from small scale artisanal production to artisanal production to artisanal, artist से ये शब्द है, to bigger manufacturing units. Do you know that government of India has collaborated with which government to produce Samsung phones? Korea. And where is the unit? How many of you have iPhones with you? चुपचाप से हाथ खड़ा करो, बाकियों को दिखना नहीं चाहिए, मुझे दिखना चाहिए. No iPhones? Enlightened people. अच्छा, चुपचाप से दिखा दिया है. सब बाकी सारे guys, the production unit for iPhone is where? कहाँ है? China में? The production unit for cricket balls is where? Cricket की जो बॉल आती है, पाकिस्तान में बनता है. नाइकी के बहुत सारे प्रोडक्ट्स, फुटबॉल शूज एंड ऑल और बॉल्स. कहने का मतलब ये है कि स्मॉल स्केल की इंडस्ट्री है, सो कॉटेज प्रोडक्शन हो जाता है, बट इफ वी हैव बिगर चंक्स टू cater to, it needs more production. It needs more production, it needs speedy production. भाई आज के दिन में हिंदुस्तान में आईफोन कितनी डिमांड है और लोग लाइन लगा के खड़े रहते हैं, तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग तो स्पीड अप करनी पड़ेगी एंड स्पेशलाइजेशन भी है. यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से? यू हैव अ ब्लिंकिट एट 10 minutes अवे, 10 मिनट आपने फोन किया और वो अगला आ गया, ऐसे ही तो होता है. सो देयर इज द centralization and there's a decentralization. What I mean is the production is getting into every nook and corner. This is a modern day production, but we are talking about time period where the production is happening where? Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, जो यहाँ पर है, और किसके लिए प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है? कच्चा माल भी इनसे ले रहा है और बेच भी इनको रहा है. Guys, again, don't think that this, don't underestimate the power of cloths. We are talking about 1750s. उस टाइम पे लोगों के पास कपड़े भी नहीं हुआ करते थे, एंड दिस एरिया इज अ कोल्ड एरिया. आपको क्या लगता है सारे अमीर लोग कपड़े पहन लेते होंगे और गरीब लोग क्या करते होंगे? वो कहां से आएंगे कपड़े? Where will they buy clothes from? So we need a scale where we have to scale for bigger audience, bigger people, like सस्ते में ज्यादा कपड़े बनाने ना हमने तो. You understand? So this cotton manufacturing units are to be established here, which are catering to this market, this market, this market, this market, this market. Cotton they are bringing, wool they are bringing, they have good production units since it's a polar country. Ships तो होते ही है ना भाई, but woolen clothes भी elite clothes है. जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, हमारे जो सस्ते फोन है मेरे पास तो आपसे भी सस्ता है. This manufacturing unit is more than iPhone's unit because it's catering to more people. Similar ways, the cloths, which is a basic necessity, and we are talking about 17th, 18th century where production, industrial production is just happening. So they are catering to not only the elite people, they are catering to the large masses. अब जो गांव में बंदे जो आपने देखे खेती में काम कर रहे थे, they are coming to Liverpool, Manchester. That's how these towns grow. कलकत्ता का आपको पता है ना, कालीकाता बोलते थे, है ना? क्या है उसका स्टोरी, क्या है? Why is Calcutta so important for Indian, if I may use the term industrialization? Why did Britishers landed only in Calcutta and started establishing themselves? What do you produce in this area? क्या प्रोड्यूस होता है इस एरिया में? जूट होता है क्या? और जो हम यूरोप भेज सकते हैं वो क्या होता है यहाँ पर? टी होती है यहाँ पर. और ये एरिया बहुत ज्यादा रिसोर्स टैक्सेस भी दे सकता है बिकॉज यहाँ फूड प्रोडक्शन भी अच्छा खासा होता है. कोस्टल एरिया है तो एक्सपोर्ट करने के लिए बेहतर होता है. एंड ब्रिंगिंग बैक टू योर द्वारकानाथ टैगोर साहब एक बैंकर हुआ करते थे और एक मर्चेंट्स थे. द ग्रैंडफादर ऑफ रविन्द्रनाथ ठाकुर. In 1730s he used to be negotiator from Indian side कि भाई अंग्रेजों के साथ ट्रेड करने के लिए तो we need somebody ना. So communicator and also from that's why when he writes about his childhood, he's a very rich person na, Rabindranath Tagore sahab. So he talks about childhood and all because his childhood was like very traumatic. कि बच्चा अपनी घर का बच्चा था तो अकेला रहता था. You know those people ना, मम्मा जो हैं, there is a lady who takes care of that, father is a big businessman, and mother is a kind of she's into her own business. So बच्चा थोड़ा कहीं ना कहीं निगेट हो जाता है. ये he writes about these things. Just to give the heads up. Please write. हमने कहाँ तक लिख लिया था? Larger production unit तक लिख लिया था. What was the last line we wrote? Okay. Then capital over labor. Another highlight this: capital over labor. increased reliance on machinery, increased reliance on machinery and capital intensive production methods reduced the demand for manual labor. Then you can also highlight another subheading, that is urbanization. इसको हम broader terms में लिखते रहेंगे. Please write urbanization and population growth. Urbanization and population growth a large influx of people moved to cities in search of work while Britain's population grew substantially during this period. Britain's population grew substantially during this period. Then write please emergence of new social classes. Emergence of new social classes. Industrialization led to rise of new social structures including factory owners these factory owners were known as bourgeoisies. इसको लिखो bourgeoisie and working class. Bourgeoisie and working class. Please write after this the role of population growth. The role of population growth. The demographic revolution played a crucial role. The demographic revolution played a crucial role in Britain's industrialization. In Britain's industrialization from 1751 to 1830, from 1751 to 1830, Britain's population more than doubled, growing from 6.5 million to 14 million. A growing population A growing population meant, MEANT, meant there was a constant supply of cheap labor. For factories. For factories. Which was very important. Which was very important for industrial growth. Please write another subheading, domestic market. The growing population also created a domestic market for agriculture and industrial products and it further stimulated industrial growth. इसके आगे एक और सब हेडिंग लिखिए, the transport revolution. Guys, when it comes to transport revolution, please don't underestimate the use of steam engine again. Then, if we talk about the present context, it took me a flight of 2 hours from Delhi to reach here. It will take 2 more hours to reach to Guwahati. So we have access to people, we have access to resources. You have a flyover. Why do we need a flyover? What is the need of Bhubaneswar is having a separate industrial park, separate flyovers, separate airport? Why? Sorry? To reduce the crowd, congestion and faster mobility. That means it makes better logistics. A basmati rice which is being produced in Haryana can reach to Bhubaneswar in trains, or whatever you are producing. What is it which you are producing in Bhubaneswar is very famous? Anything you're producing in Bhubaneswar or in Odisha which is very famous outside? Sorry? Huh? What is? Okay, Pattachitra. Yes, of course. Paintings. Aesthetic demand. So, all I'm trying, you see, we nowadays, and the central government nowadays, you can quote it, these things also, that logistics, you have flyovers, you have highways, you have railways, so connectivity increases. If you have connectivity, the producers can fast, because देखो इंडिया का एक्सपोर्ट का प्रॉब्लम क्या है, अब कोई भी चीज प्रोड्यूस होती है, जैसे हमारे यहाँ महाराष्ट्र में बहुत ज्यादा प्रोड्यूस होते हैं अंगूर, दैट इज ग्रेप्स. अब अगर हम ईस्टर्न महाराष्ट्र से बॉम्बे JNPT पोर्ट तक ले जा रहे हैं, उसमें 3 घंटे लगने चाहिए, उसमें लग जा रहे हैं 12 घंटे. एंड ग्रेप इज अ पेरिशेबल आइटम. भाई उसकी शेल्फ लाइफ कम है, आप कितना उसको रिड्यूस कर ले, ऊपर से कस्टम वाले भाई लोग खुलवा देते हैं, उसको खुलवा दिया, अब भाई वो 2 डिग्री में रखा हुआ है ग्रेप्स, you opened it. Maharashtra is a tropical area, so you have it exposes to 26 degree. कर लो उसको प्रोक्योर, कैसे भेजोगे उसको? So logistics is very important. And still talking about the Britain's economy, where you have a rising population. If we have more people within our nation, we can produce things for them. On top of that, I show you the market. So they are producing for whole barrage of areas. And what are they producing? Most of them are cotton cloths or textiles. Not cotton clothes, sorry for that. Textiles. So they are producing textiles in the factories. I just gave you the example of Manchester, of Lancashire, of Gandhi ji usko kya kehte hain Lancashire ko? Lancashire he used to call it, because our and you know they used to put so much of restriction on Indian exports that we cannot compete with them. क्योंकि मशीन के क्लॉथ के साथ आप हैंड वूवन को कैसे compete कर सकते हैं? You understand what I'm trying to say? A machine made cloth is it is manufactured fast, it is more refined, it is in bulk, and a person who is producing in 10 or 15 in a day can it what do you call it, stand by who is producing 1500 units in a day? No, it will having more market access. You understand? Okay. Transport revolution में हमने कुछ लिखा तो नहीं था? Please write. The transport revolution was another critical factor in the development of industrial revolution in Britain. Advances in road construction greatly improved the speed of overland transportation. इसके नीचे एक और सब हेडिंग लिखिए, कैनाल्स, CANALS, canals. The construction of canals provided cheap and efficient transportation for heavy raw material like coal and iron, which was essential for industrial production. The canal system reduced transportation cost by as much as 80%. In some areas, such as between Manchester and Liverpool. or Birmingham. Birmingham. Okay. Then please write another subheading, that is agricultural revolution. Agricultural revolution. Increased productivity led to higher crop yield, which ensured higher crop yield, which ensured a reliable food supply for Britain's growing population. For Britain's growing population. Surplus labor, इसको हाईलाइट कर दीजिए. The increased efficiency of agriculture. हाँ, इसको हाईलाइट करना है. Surplus labor को. The increased efficiency of agriculture meant that few laborers were needed on farms. Many rural workers migrated to urban areas. Providing a labor supply for factories. Please write another subheading. Overseas commerce and colonial market. Overseas commerce and colonial market. The expansion of overseas commerce was a significant driver of industrialization in Britain. Significant driver of industrialization in Britain. The British Empire played a central role. The British Empire played a central role in the development of industrial capitalism. Providing both the raw material both the raw material needed for industrial production and markets for British goods and market for British goods. Guys, I want you to stop for a moment and please read this line again, this paragraph again. I'll come to these things. What did you make out of this line? It is a center. There is another very important event which is happening in 18th century Europe or England is production of ships. भाई इतनी सारी चीजों का प्रोडक्शन शिप से भी होगा. शिप्स किससे चल रहे हैं? स्टीम इंजन से. So these British chartered companies, East India Company, and the person Cornwallis was a governor general, is also posted in Americas earlier. Now he's posted in India. Why? These people, British government is giving charters. Charters means permission. Permission to do what? To do trade with whom? With the East. That's why it is called as the East India Company. Who is giving the charter? The British Crown or the British Queen. No other company except the East India Company is having exclusive trading rights of cotton production, silk production, coffee, gems, jellies from this part of the world. In the 19th century, after we see that these big factories come up, these people are taking raw material out of here and exporting these to this large markets. That's how your presidency towns are coming up. Bombay, Madras, Kolkata, because it is the ship, and England is called as the mistress of seas. There is one more, there is one saying that in 18th century, the French used to think that we are invincible. In 19th century, the English used to think that they are invincible. In 20th century, the US used to think that they are invincible. And now, very good. समझदार बच्चे. समझ रहे हो ना? So, it is the वक्त और जज्बात बदल जाते हैं मतलब time पे. So, time changes. So, this also gives you a base to the modern world. And how do you define capitalism? I'm talking about capitalism. What is capitalism? And how is it different from feudalism? Capitalism शब्द तो आप यूज कर रहे हो ना इस बारी इसमें. What is capitalism? है? What is capitalism? Capitalism means more and more profit. Anybody else? Sorry? How is it different from feudalism? Sir? What is the transition I showed you? The medieval Europe and the modern Europe.
Feudalism land is the core for the profit for the operation of the poor. And there's the factories, capitalism, the factories and industries play the central role, and the factory owners.
Globalization is a next step to the capitalism. No? Globalization means give and take, no? Here it's not give and take, it's just that you are using the resources and taking it as a colony. We are colony, na? Capitalism is using capital for more production. It's different from, and profit seeking becomes important. Earlier, this economy was sort of, we use the term rural economy or self-sufficient economy. Before industrial revolution came in Europe, the people in villages were not producing in bulk. But after industrial revolution in 1760s, where we have more production, more capital investment, more profit, and the next step is the globalization, where most of the nations are free to make sure that their tariffs are in place. You know, you are regulating your own tariffs, you are regulating your sovereignty, you are sovereign, sort of, nobody is treating you as a slave. So that is next step of, we'll come to that in the Cold War times. So a self-sufficient village economy of England now transformed to an industrialized economy, where there is labor movement from rural areas to the cities. So in cities they are staying in smaller patches. There is a kind of new class coming up. पढ़े लिखे लोग भी पढ़ रहे हैं, Oxford universities and all established हो गई थी, है ना? So people are thinking, there is a nobility, merchants हैं, merchant का बेटा lawyer बन गया, किसी का बेटा doctor बन गया, and they are staying in England. They are staying in Manchester, they are staying in Birmingham. So there is a class also being developed. भाई आप यहाँ आए पढ़ने के लिए, आप सब भुवनेश्वर के हैं, everybody is from Bhubaneswar, or somebody has come from outside and from Odisha has come to study. Where are you from? Baleshwar. And you have come here for studies. Now you'll be a PCS officer, an IAS officer, and will go to some other place. You understand? So your intellect is being used in some other direction. You will be a lawyer or an IAS officer or a doctor for that matter, is somewhere or the other transforming the society. भाई पहले 200-300 साल पहले लगभग सब किसान रहे होंगे इस जगह में. I'm assuming that there'll be few doctors, very few engineers. You understand what I'm trying to say? So there's a gradual movement of everything in a capitalist economy, where capital plays a very important, profit seeking plays a very important role. And इसी के साथ ये लोग imperialism use करते हैं. हम उसको वर्ल्ड वॉर के टाइम पे imperialism वर्ड को समझेंगे. ठीक है, इसको जरा हेवी नहीं करते हैं. Guys, I hope you understand what is being taught and following what is being written. Can you please go through the entire thing which I have made you write, and so that we can move forward. Otherwise the notes keep on piling up. I'll give 2 minutes. What is the last thing we have written?
Industrial production and its market for British goods.
आई सेड इनफॉर्मलाइजेशन ऑफ इकोनॉमी टू बैंकिंग. अब कोई अगर बैंक कोई इंडस्ट्री स्टैब्लिश करता है तो पैसा लेगा ना बड़े एरिया. यस यस यस. Guys, can we start again? We have written till the markets of Britain goods. Please write ahead. There's a subheading called colonial markets. The colonial markets. Britain's colonies provided vast markets for British made goods. The empire also supplied crucial raw materials such as cotton, sugar, and tobacco. Which were essential to the growth of industries like textiles. Guys, when we are talking about sugar and tobacco, mind we are talking about the industries. In an industry, there are more than 100 people. So we have working hours. There is a formalization of economy. भाई 100 लोग एक इंडस्ट्री में काम कर रहे हैं. They are working in an industry. They need what? Tea. They need tobacco. माल भी तो चाहिए जरूरी. इतनी दिन तक काम कैसे करेगा बंदा? In North India we call it tobacco को माल. वो जो भोले का प्रसाद होता है. कहने का मतलब ये है, no, you know, intoxication, you see, you might have seen, it's a very serious concern that the people who are rickshaw pullers, शाम को आपने देखा पी के सेट रहता है वो. क्यों? आपने कभी 42 डिग्री में रिक्शा चलाया है जून की गर्मी में? And he's thin like anything, and he's having tobacco, he's having sugar, he's having anything जो रोड पे बढ़ता है, and he doesn't have problems, digestion problems, he doesn't have stress, he doesn't have anxiety. Why? अरे हंस रहे हो आप? Why? The whole energy goes to what is to be eaten today. आज क्या खाना है, क्या कमाना है. कई बच्चे मुझे कहते हैं सर मुझे पढ़ाई करके स्ट्रेस हो रहा है. मैंने कहा ये तो जायज बात है. आप अगर say I run, if I run 10 kilometers, beyond 10 kilometers, my body is going to produce some stress. Muscle pull हो जाएगा. How many of you run? 5 किलोमीटर के बाद, I used to be in CAPF before, so 5 किलोमीटर के बाद आपकी आत्मा शून्य हो जाती है. 8 किलोमीटर के बाद आपको पता ही नहीं था मेरा शरीर भी है. 15 के बाद आप जो कर रहे हैं करने दो, and you have rifle also, and the people like us जो शुरू होते ही खत्म हो जाते हैं हम जैसे. You know, it's very hard for physical labor is very hard. Then I realized, then I went to Delhi with a friend of mine, and we were sitting, and this guy was like churning rickshaw in 42, 45. यार तपरी है धूप. And this person is, you know, and please, if you know you think that sometimes motivation down, what is motivation yaar? It's all inside, na? It's all inside. There are people sitting in this class will be in the list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doesn't mean they are good. If somebody has not got through, doesn't mean he is stupid. फर्क है. हर कोई, वो एक्टर कौन सा है? मनोज वाजपेयी. There will be so many actors like Manoj Vajpayee in from NSD. He got the chance. You understand what I'm trying to say? So your thing is to work hard. The similar way I was talking about this, the kind of production of stress. So tobacco is very important, sugar is very important because sugar gives you instant energy. जो लोग जिम जाते हैं वो बोतल लेके जाते हैं ना. कौन जिम जाता है? You understand now what I'm trying to say? So this is, इसके लिए शुगर की बल्क में जरूरत पड़ने लग गई. कॉफी हाउसेस शुरू होने लग गए. कॉफी हाउसेस में सिर्फ लेबरर्स नहीं आ रहे, लेबरर्स और इंटेलेक्चुअल साथ साथ बैठ रहे. दे आर शेयरिंग आइडियाज. अच्छा क्या चल रहा है यार? यार यहाँ तो बहुत काम करवाते हैं, 12 घंटे काम करवाते हैं इंडस्ट्रीज में. ओके ओके, देयर इज अ लॉयर सिटिंग बिहाइंड यू इन इंग्लैंड, इन मैनचेस्टर. ओके, ही विल से ओके, दिस समथिंग लाइक दिस इज मार्क्स, कार्ल मार्क्स. समथिंग लाइक दिस इन एंगल्स. आई डू नॉट वांटेड टू गो, बिकॉज जब आप लोग बैठे हैं ना तो कहेंगे यार तू 12 घंटे काम कर रहा है क्या, कितना पैसा मिल रहा है? अच्छा यार ये तो एक्सप्लॉइटेशन है. यू अंडरस्टैंड? सो द रेवोल्यूशन टेक्स अ डिफरेंट टर्न. अर्लियर यू आर इन योर हाउस, इन योर विलेज. मन पड़ा तो करेगा, नहीं तो नहीं करेगा. पुष्पा है वो, समझ रहे हो? बंद करूंगा तो करूंगा, नहीं तो नहीं करूंगा. बट नाउ यू आर इन फैक्ट्री, यू आर लेफ्ट योर हाउस, यू आर इधर लिविंग इन दिल्ली, मुंबई और एनी टाउन. यू आर वर्किंग इन अ rickshaw puller or a factory worker. You understand ना? So the things changed. तो आपको कमाना है, घर भी तो भेजना है. पहले क्या होता था? सीजन के टाइम पे मैं खेती करूंगा, जब काम नहीं होगा तो मैं फैक्ट्री में काम करूंगा, तो लोकल है. मेरा मन करेगा तो मैं करूंगा, नहीं तो मैं पुष्पा बन जाऊंगा. समझ रहे हो? But now it's a formalization, and there's a term we often use which is called as class divide and consciousness, or भाई आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स की वजह से तो फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन हुआ था. भाई हमें क्या नहीं मिल रहे हैं? राइट्स नहीं मिल रहे हैं. We are not being represented. We are taxed much. I'm not getting government job. He is getting X, Y, Z. So this class divide brings in class consciousness, brings in class politics, and brings in revolution. It's a gradual transition. Guys, अभी थोड़ा सा ऊपर से जा रहा होगा, लेकिन कईयों का I think समझ में आ रहा है. तो थोड़ा सा ये there's a transition we are moving towards. What were we discussing in the initial? I talked about a conscious dialogue. भाई मैंने आपको कॉफी हाउस का एग्जांपल दिया जो लंदन में है, जो मैनचेस्टर में है, जिसमें एक लेबर भी चाय पीने आ रहा है, एक वकील भी आ रहा है. तो वकील लेबर की बात सुन रहा है, लेबर वकील की बात सुन रहा है. सो देयर इज अ ब्रॉडर कंसेंसस व्हिच इज बीइंग डेवलप्ड. कई लोग रिएक्ट करते हैं, कई लोग नहीं करते. ठीक है, अभी इसको यहीं तक छोड़ दो. अगर आप नहीं भी लिखना चाहो तो साइड में कहीं लिख लो. बट you know, we will be talking about these consciousnesses in a greater detail in French Revolution, because we start with the Industrial Revolution, and the thing which we discussed in the before is the Renaissance. Is now the society is thinking openly. Why my brother is, मेरे भाई को तो तुम रात को 10 बजे तक बोलते हो कि आ चिल मार के आ. लड़कियों को कहते हो तुम 10 बजे आना है. लड़की पूछेगी ना कि मेरी भी राइट्स एंड ऑल. कॉन्शियसनेस है ना. There are some people who are, you know, I shouldn't be using untouchability. Still prevalent? Is it intercaste marriage a problem? Not a problem in India? Is it an issue? ऐसे इतने जोर से मत हिलाओ यार, हो जाएगा. ठीक है, कोशिश करो. चलो, we tobacco तक थे, which were essential to the growth, which were essential to the growth of, ठीक है, slave trade. इसके नीचे लिखो slave trade. The British involvement in the slave trade also provided raw materials particularly cotton from colonies in Americas. For colonies in Americas to fuel the booming textile industry. To fuel the booming textile industry. Please write another subheading. The role of the state in industrialization. The role of the state in the industrialization. The role of state in Britain और ब्रिटेन्स इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, एन के आगे, ब्रिटेन के आगे एस लिखा दो. इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन is a subject of debate. Some argue that Britain's relativity or British relatively laissez-faire. laissez-faire किसे कहते हैं? फ्री ट्रेड. LAISSEZ FAIRE. इसके आगे लिख दो फ्री ट्रेड. laissez-faire or free trade policies fostered entrepreneurship. Others emphasized others emphasized the active role of government, the active role of government played in supporting industrial played in supporting industrial capitalism. Please write another subheading. इसी के साथ है, इसी के बाद है गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट फॉर कैपिटल. गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट फॉर कैपिटल. The government facilitated the growth of industries by implementing policies that protected domestic industries such as restricting imports of foreign textile, especially from India, which competed with Britain's growing textile sector. Next subheading is colonial policies. The government also played an essential role in maintaining and expanding Britain's empire, ensuring that British businesses had access to valuable colonies and slave market. Next subheading is control over labor. At the same time, state actively suppressed labor movements. The Combination Act of 1800, the Combination Act of 1800 made trade unions illegal. While harsh laws protected the property and interests of factory owners This created a legal framework that prioritized capitalist growth over workers' rights. Guys, capitalist growth can also be equated with what the socialists say. See, you have Raurkela, you have Jamshedpur, you have Tata Nagar. These all were state sponsored back in 1950s. In 1950s, the government started off with the mixed economic model. What is a mixed economy? Okay, both the government and private sector will coexist. With this, we have all the things in the east, the heavy industrialization happening in India. We had Russian support in Jharkhand. Lot of plants are being set up because of with the help of Russians. So it is a state sponsored because we had very good relations with Russia, and Russia was the one which was following socialism, and which is again a verse of in capitalism, what is being produced will be decided by the market. अगर हिंदुस्तान में आईफोन की डिमांड है या अभी नया बढ़िया फोन कौन सा है OnePlus की डिमांड है तो सप्लाई मार्केट के हिसाब से चलेगा. गवर्नमेंट थोड़ा हैंड होल्डिंग करेगी, बट इन अ सोशलिस्ट फ्रेमवर्क द गवर्नमेंट विल डिसाइड व्हाट टू प्रोड्यूस एंड हाउ मच टू प्रोड्यूस. That is the difference. Here, the market will decide. State sponsorship, where most of the things to be produced are to be produced as per the government. So government has all the regulations in place so that what to produce is to be controlled by the state. In capitalism, market driven production happens. Now you will say कि उस टाइम पे तो डेमोक्रेसी थी इंग्लैंड में, नहीं थी. So how is capitalism flourishing? बताओ. I hope this is not going heavy. This is as per this thing. Guys, though there is a monarch in England, also a monarch in Germany, in France, but the state is actively supporting the commercial activities here, not here, where the state is kind of very despotic. बार बार उंगली करता है, बार बार परेशान करता है कि ये नहीं होना चाहिए, वो नहीं होना चाहिए। क्वीन बोलती है, राजा बोलते हैं कि जो करना है अपने मन से करो, हमें टैक्स दे दो, हमारे हिसाब से करो, हमें क्या देंगे, वी विल गिव यू आर्मी ऑल्सो। दैट्स हाउ अमेरिकन वॉर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस हैपेंस, and these people are the ones who are going to India also. So after the regulating act being passed, चलो उसमें नहीं घुसते, but the point I'm trying to make is these people are the ones who are giving open. जैसे ऐसा मुझे कहना नहीं चाहिए, बट आपने देखा होगा, आप में से कई लोग होंगे जिनके माँ बाप बार बार फोन करते हैं ना, वो बच्चे बहुत झूठ बोलते हैं घर पे, मम्मा कहाँ हूँ, मैं यहाँ हूँ, मैं हूँ तो फंस रहा है। जिसके माँ बाप कहते हैं जा सिमरन जी ले अपनी जिंदगी, वो थोड़े फिर भी चिल रहते हैं। कहने का मतलब ये है कि व्हेन यू आर प्रेशराइज्ड टू एन एक्सटेंट, वो मैं कहावत, माय फ्रेंड वाज टेलिंग मी कि वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट पेरेंटिंग मेक्स वेरी सॉरी, मतलब बच्चे थोड़ा झूठ बोलते हैं कि बिगड़, हाँ, गुड लायर्स, यस यस, स्ट्रिक्ट पेरेंटिंग मेक्स गुड लायर्स। अच्छा, इट ऑल्सो डिपेंड्स, बट द पॉइंट इज माई फादर वॉज वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट, बट वी नेवर, बट वो है कि like my father was an army, my grandpa was an army, so we were used to all those things. Maybe I was in boarding, then I was in force, तो ये किसी के लिए चलता है, but the friends of mine whose fathers are very strict, they are into everything, जो भी negative आप सोच सकते हो, they are into that, but I was there with them, but considerably I was also bad, but you know, अब जैसे कई लोग होते हैं बहुत ज़्यादा नशा करते हैं यार, बहुत ज़्यादा नशा करने से भी आप एक, ये तो है ही परेशानी, दिन भर यू स्क्रॉल, ये फोन बंद करके कौन पढ़ता है, हाथ खड़ा करना ईमानदारी से, और खोल के कौन पढ़ता है, सारे। सो यू नो इट ब्रेक्स योर यू नो concentration somewhere or the other, I think. How many of you are above 25? I forgot to ask. 25, अच्छा हाँ, इसके बाद में बताना। So, you know, the point is, we call Gen Z generation, तो आप लोग फोन के साथ पले बड़े हो, हम लोगों ने सब कुछ देख लिया, तो अभी हम लोग को भी आदत लग गई है, we are very much into phones and all, but we are trying to cope up with that. Guys, when do you take the break? अभी मुझे लगता है आप लोग थक गए हो। What time is the break? अच्छा ठीक है, कितनी देर का होता है, आधे घंटे का ना, सॉरी फॉर द पकाओ थिंग, बट इसको यहीं से स्टार्ट करेंगे, ठीक है गाइस। अभी द स्टोरी इज अनफोल्डिंग, जो भी डाउट्स होंगे मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि क्लास के बाद ले लूं, या अभी बात कर लेंगे, ठीक है। यू टेक अ ब्रेक ऑफ हाउ मच टाइम, हाफ एन आवर, कुछ खा लो फिर, ठीक है, 35 मिनट्स ले लो मेरे से, ठीक है, ओके, ठीक है, आई विल सी यू देन।